Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Today, we're going to be taking a look at this full moon that we're having and kind of see what's happening in the energies around that. Of course, it's going to be a general reading. It's for all signs, and of course, it's not going to resonate for everybody because it's a reading that I'm doing for the collective. So it shouldn't resonate with everyone. But if it is something that resonates deeply with you, maybe check out some other messages as well. And feel free to join. Feel free to go ahead and subscribe. So, we're going to be talking about the full moon again, like I said today. I think we've already been feeling the effects of this one a little bit. This one is the pink moon. It is in Libra. So, this one is an opportunity to heal emotional wounds, but it is bringing this opportunity by being very real about things. And that's why I get the sense that we've already been seeing some of the edge of the energy of this moon. So it's not necessarily easy, but it is incredibly effective. We'll say that it's very effective. So there's an opportunity for you to heal emotional wounds. We know that as part of going into the reading. So now let's go ahead and get that emotional backdrop. Okay, you're coming into this new moon, or you have come into this new moon energy with a new perspective. Something has happened recently that's given you a new perspective. Um, it's not a comfortable new perspective, though, something that you're still very much working through at this time, something that you've decided you need to make peace with. You are starting to feel a little bit better after the new perspective with the Three of Swords in the reverse. But you still have the Queen of Cups as well. So you've got, and I say still because this is part of the way that your energy was as you were coming into this. There was a lot of love, but also a lot of heartbreak and possibly some behaviors that came of that heartbreak that now you're starting to maybe get on top of. So something has happened. I know a couple of you were talking to me about having lost a pet, and that's exactly the sort of sadness that I'm feeling here. And it's not necessarily that you lost a pet, but it's that kind of sadness that isn't necessarily anybody's fault, but it takes some time to get through, and there is a lot of love behind it. But there is a feeling of having lost something from an emotional standpoint, but starting to work past that with this new perspective. So that's something that is coming out pretty strongly in the energy, is that the new perspective is helping to turn the tide for you emotionally. Not necessarily that you would stop being sad about whatever it is or stop feeling the emotional impacts of whatever it is. Just that you're in more of a place to be able to heal, which matches with the energy of this moon. We have, though, something that isn't moving forward. So you've got a situation where you need to make an action, but for whatever reason, you're not being able to. So it's not the thing standing in your way that you would necessarily expect is standing in your way. But it's creating the opportunity for sort of I want to say a breakdown, but really you're carrying too much with the Ten of Wands in the upright. So we've got the Draco card in the reverse, which is the kind of the equivalent of that Wheel of Fortune. Then we have the Ten of Wands, which came out in the reverse. But I wanted to talk about it in the upright a little bit because when it's in the upright, it's you carrying a heavy load. Part of this heavy load that you're carrying is things that you can't control. So you're going to need to identify from this, here's what I can control, here's what I can't. Here's how I have the opportunity to impact the situation. That's what you most need to understand. And then, so this breakdown is not necessarily like a breaking down and it doesn't have to be the type of thing where you break down and burn out. However, I mean, it could be, but it's more an opportunity for you to recognize which things you control and which things you don't. And it is as if the situation has slowed down enough to give you that opportunity to see that. This is really sharp, specific energy. We have the Eight of Pentacles. You're finding something new in yourself. This is the sense of finding something new in yourself that is a resolve you were not sure about, did not know that you already possessed. But it turns out that with the lessons that you've learned in the recent past, I would say over the last couple of years probably, You have a new resolve that's showing up here in the form of emotional mastery. You are now a heavy lifter in the area of emotional mastery with around whatever this is that you are working to resolve. It looks like you're still very much in the process. So even being a heavy lifter doesn't necessarily make it an easy thing for you to work through or get past. Then we have the Five of Swords. Okay, and this one has the feeling of making sure that you are fighting the right battle. And then the Six of Pentacles strangely sort of just bubbled up there. We're going to take that one as well. And then I think we're done with this first stack, but or with this first question, because remember, this is just the energetic backdrop around this new around this full moon. This is the it's almost an admonishment to make sure that you are picking the correct battles and not putting too much effort into something. You only have so much energy. It is certainly something that shows up here in this Ten of Wands when you realize that you can only control so much, and you're going to want to be able to back off of the things that you can't control and really put the effort into the things that you can. That goes hand in hand with this Five of Swords. And this Six of Pentacles is really just about, it's a little bit of something else that you've learned. There is something here along the way around equal give and take. Now, some of you are dealing very specifically in a situation that has not been equal give and take, and you're working through it. And we have talked about that in a lot of the soulmate readings. This is not specifically a soulmate reading. However, this is a broader look at that same kind of concept. So it doesn't have to be somebody that you're in a romantic partnership with. This is the Six of Pentacles, and it's simply talking about the equal give and take of energy. It's also relevant to that meditation mantra that I bring up on a regular basis about being able to give and receive love. So, like I say, if you listen long enough, you'll end up hearing all six of them, or seven, depending on how you look at it. So, okay, that's the general energy that kind of is just flowing in the background around this moon. Let's look now at what that means for you and just kind of what you need to know about this as you're starting to navigate this path. It is a path that it feels like change, but it's not change that's being pushed upon you. It's change that you've now landed in kind of this situation where you have the gift, the opportunity of learning some lessons, but they do not look comfortable. These are not comfortable lessons. You have the opportunity to come through this with flying colors. I can tell you that, but something's not right to begin with, and you've got this sense of fear of jumping into something where there's never been fear before. So something isn't right. There's an actual problem that has to be solved, and then you've got the fear of jumping in, probably created by the fact that you can instinctively tell something isn't right, and yet you're kind of, I hate to use the term gaslighted, but you're kind of being gaslighted into thinking that you're the problem. Whether it's by your own thoughts or by something in the situation is an entirely different question. But there's this feeling of you are not, you have a new perspective, but you need an even broader one. There's something that has to happen here around your role in this situation. Like you're taking too much on yourself, and you're taking too much into yourself about how this is playing out. Some of this isn't about you, but it is causing it to be about you. And what I mean is, it's weighing on you in a way that makes you concerned about moving forward in certain ways. Okay, we need both the Horolog and the Pegasus. Horolog is this is like the Temperance card, and the Pegasus card is like the Magician. So this tarot is, this is the Celestial Tarot, and I'm sorry, it's the Constellations Tarot. I knew I was kind of gonna do that anyway. The because I say that in my head all the time. So this is a really neat one, but it's not one that I would recommend for beginners because it's got these great stories and these great things behind the cards. But if you can't then also kind of think about it in the context of this being also the Magician and this one also being Temperance, you might not always catch some of the nuances that love to come out of this deck. So this one is about, with it being the horologium, and it's a clock. Time is a big deal. Now with the Temperance card, I often will tell you that it is a hard won balance, okay? But it takes time to win that balance. This card talks about taking the time and recognizing that you are in it now. You're in the middle of something that's going to help you gain an immense balance. Now, with this Eight of Pentacles that came up over here, you're already doing pretty well with it in some regard that you wouldn't have in the past. However, this is how you get it. This is how you that it develops for you. And this Pegasus tells you you have the opportunity to manifest the way you want this to go. Okay, you have all kinds of control in this situation. So no wonder you've got this 10 of Wands over here telling you that you need to get rid of the things, the weight from the things that you don't control. You control so much of this in a way that it feels like an extra heavy load just because of that. But some of the things that you don't control are super key and yet weighing on you in ways that are wasting your energy, according to this Five of Swords. So, boy, this is a pretty pointed reading, isn't it? And by pointed, I mean pointy. So we've got the Seven of Swords that's coming out talking about self-trust. This is a reflection of the energy that we see in the Page of Swords in reverse over here, where the Page of Swords in reverse is afraid to jump in and do something. The Seven of Swords in the upright doesn't trust themselves. It's a person who doesn't trust themselves to jump in and do something because something has been lost trust-wise, self-trust-wise, and it's a need to grow in a new direction. That's really what this is. It's a need to grow in a new direction, but you could easily be taken down in this situation by the fact that you are afraid to execute on something. There is a fear that has grown in you here that can damage you, and so you've got to figure out how to manage this fear. There's a truth that is available for you here that's going to help you to do that, but it again may not be a completely easy process. This is gorgeous, though. This is a situation where this is a moon that is bringing out the energy you need to handle whatever this situation is that has started to blossom in front of you. So that's a very real sort of experience you're having, and that is what I was it's what I was getting at earlier when I was saying that this moon brings that opportunity by being incredibly real about what's going on and incredibly real about where there might still be lessons to be learned, because you're not a beginning student. This is not a 101 level sort of lesson that you're learning here. You've got the Five of Wands. You need to not struggle through the lesson, but instead ask for assistance and recognize once again, this is almost another admonishment with the Three of Wands in reverse. You've already set some things into motion. Now, it's true that some of what you have set into motion is probably in a direction you don't want to continue, but you now have the opportunity, with the way things are unfolding, for you to be very conscious about how you continue down this path. Don't struggle down the path because it's another waste of energy. And again, there's too much here that you have the opportunity to influence or manifest in this situation for you to either A, doubt yourself now, or B, spend a bunch of time struggling. This is a situation where you need to be able to straighten up and fly right, but you have it in you to do that. So this Eight of Swords, this is great. So this Eight of Swords in the reverse is letting you know that some of the overthinking that has plagued you in the past, there's something about you that doesn't have time for that now. Just doesn't have time for it now. And so now you are sort of thrusting yourself into the situation and saying, you know what, this is something I'm actually good at. For whatever reason, I've got my own judgment clouded over here, got myself talked into thinking I don't know how to handle this. But if I had a situation like this to deal with, I am the person I would call. There's an element of that in here. And so all of a sudden things start to coalesce for you, and it has a lot to do with the energy of this moon. So I would just say use that. That is part of what you need to know, is you've got yourself into this situation that, has this difficult energy around it. You've already recognized it as an opportunity for learning. This is a time to seize the moment and to truly seize the opportunity to take this advancement forward. This is going to be a big step forward in your healing and in lessons that you need to learn. Not a comfortable one, but at this time, I don't know anybody in this collective who is experiencing a comfortable situation right now. So let's take a look at what you can best be focused on as you get into this full moon energy, because this is no nonsense energy. This reading feels especially no nonsense, and I have to tell you, kind of seems like that's how they've been lately. All right, what have we got here? We've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So you're being revisited by a lesson that has you have had the opportunity to learn this before, and you learned part of it, but you didn't learn the whole thing. That's usually how it works. And you probably won't learn all that there is to know about it this time either. However, you're going to get a good chunk out of it based on how this energy feels. So let's see what happens um, as far as just what you need to be working on. So it sounds like you need to open yourself up to the lesson. You're already doing that. Continue to do so. Focus on doing so. Focus on the fact that you don't just have a problem to solve here, you have an active lesson to learn. You've got the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Look for the place where you are, where the breakage is starting to happen. What's the weak spot? Where's the weak link? You've got the Phoenix, something that doesn't want to change. This is a situation where you may come up against a wall and realize that you're not prepared to change something. It's okay, but recognize you're probably going to see this lesson again. So when you get to that point, think about it. Think about whether you want to have this behind you and be done with it. Think about whether that's something you can do. Execute. This is the Queen of Swords, and this is the Queen of Execute. She can get things done, and she does them quickly, decisively, and without making a big piece of nonsense about it. So there is, and I don't see the Two of Swords out here yet, but I've got a strong feeling of it where you're going to be presented with a decision or a set of decisions, and you're going to need to execute in a way that puts you down a path that is a decisive path. You're either going to be solving something or you're going to not be solving something as you make it down this path, though. And here's the thing, that sounds a little extra dramatic. There's a specific problem in here that doesn't want to be dealt with. That's what you're after. So here's the Two of Wands. You do get to a crossroads with this where you have a choice to make. And again, like we were just saying, it's a decision. It's you needing to pick one direction or the other direction, and then you're going to be following that until you get to your next opportunity for this lesson or get to your next lesson, whatever that means. You have the Centaurus card that is coming out here. And this tells me that you are going to have spiritual guidance throughout the entire process. The sun tells me that you are going to be able to find happiness as a result of this process. Everything ends up better if you are able to follow the spiritual guidance that you are receiving here. This may not end the way you think it's going to end. That is one of the things that I will say about this. This may not end the way that you think it will. What you currently think, whatever this situation is, whatever you currently think is best, may actually not be what's best. It may be, I just dropped a bunch of cards and they all landed face down. It may be that this is a result that you would not necessarily have come up with, but it is the right thing. Okay, so we have the first two of these cards want to come up and be used, and then we're done pulling cards for of this type, and we're going to get you an oracle card. Okay, so the Queen of Wands is about your ability that gets unlocked, this ability to push things forward and really just move forward with abandon, because it's going to be every fiber of your being that feels like it's the right thing to do. That is what you're unlocking with executing this and going in the direction that allows you to fix whatever it is that you're reluctant to fix over here. Now, you can still be happy if you choose not to fix this thing. I want to make this clear. You're going to get to this crossroads. You're going to have a decision to make. You're going to make this decision, and it's going to be very cut and dried. You're not going to be able to go both ways. You will have guidance throughout this. It is not a black and white decision, despite the fact that the results of it are somewhat. You could end up happy in either direction. There is a right and wrong answer. You'll know it when you see it. This is going to be something you'll know when you see it. We've got the Queen of Wands here saying that if you make what is ultimately the right decision, which is to resolve this issue now, then you will be rewarded with this unbelievable ability to kind of continue and be passionate in a direction that maybe is difficult, and you kind of hold yourself back. You also are going to be out from under the thumb of something that has controlled you. that also may not look the way that we might think of, And so the Cetus card is like the devil card. It's like the devil card, and it's coming out here in reverse to tell you that there is something that has been controlling you. You might not even realize how much it's controlling you. It might be like the frog in the pot of water. If you put a frog in a hot pot of water, it's like, holy cow, he jumps out. If it if you put it in a cool pot of water and then very gradually increase the temperature, it doesn't notice, and ultimately you end up with this frog soup. You may be turning into frog soup over here with regard to this situation and not quite realizing it. And I have all kinds of evidence over here that suggests that to potentially be the case. So you need to, from this standpoint, as far as what you can be doing about it, open yourself to the lesson and be listening to that guidance that comes through, because there are some incredible things that can really happen as a result of doing that. But it's about not struggling. It's about taking advantage of this energy that comes with this full moon that allows you to really heal those emotional wounds and come forward confidently. So let's get you an oracle card to go along with it. And this oracle card, these are always just kind of advice to go along on top of it. I like to use the Moonology Oracle whenever we have a moon event. Not always. I mean, sometimes I get in there and there's another deck that just calls out to me, but most of the time, I suppose it's a cute move, but it's just, I like to use the Moonology Oracle. And sometimes you'll get really interesting things that come out at for the time. It'll be a full moon in Libra and you'll get the full moon in Libra. Those, I think, are extra special. But this deck almost never has something to say that isn't, it's always useful. I would just say it's always useful. Okay, what have we got here? So we've got, oh, you've got to be kidding me. You guys. All right. I don't know what this exactly wants to give us, so I'm going to think about this, or I'm going to let it flow. I guess thinking about it is kind of not what I want to do. We just got the full moon in Libra, and it's a pink moon. That's what we're experiencing today. And it says a win-win outcome is forecast. Okay, so going back across here and connecting with this, you're coming in with a new perspective. You have some opportunities to use learning that you've already got. This is maybe that opportunity we've been talking about. You've got an opportunity to use some of that learning that you've already gotten. You have a situation that's not right. You may not be looking at it in a way that allows you to make full usage of your ability to manifest and really truly find your balance in this. So this new perspective over here is helpful, but you need another one. Keep working toward it. There's a new truth in front of you that's going to help you, but you've got to not push against it. Recognize that you've already started to set this in motion. There's going to be a fear to execute something. There's going to be a fear against moving in a certain direction, but you're no longer in a place that you're overthinking a lot of things with this Eight of Swords in reverse. You need to open yourself up to the lesson. Listen to the guidance that you are being given. When you get to this crossroads, you have a choice to execute on something that is truly going to change things for you, but in a very positive way. Look for the place where you don't feel like you have it all together. This can lead to a place of extreme happiness. We do have, like it says here, that win-win outcome that is forecasted, and it looks like you come out from under the control of something that's been controlling you. So for the collective, I would say this is a fabulous reading. Not necessarily a comfortable situation, but such a great opportunity. I cannot wait to hear how this works out for you. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's a moon reading. I don't do extendeds on these typically, but I think this is just really amazing. It's really amazing energy that's coming out for you today. Let's take a look and just kind of see where it goes from here. Thanks for being here with me for this one. And I look forward to seeing you again in another reading.